We're live.
We're
It says
live.
right there.
Hi, this is now Bridge to a Better World.
It already is now, actually. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Whenever we are, it's now.
Yeah. Can you tell I was up all night? And so what we're going to do is have the usual
Tin toys.
preview. Yes, Tin Toys and Drinky Bird. Drinky Bird is ready.
As we gather together and gathering we are.
Yeah. And then we'll be doing our show.
In moments, mere moments.
You get Clocky over here.
Clocky.
Yeah.
Clocky's kind of a new addition. Here. Let's do this. Clocky can go up here.
Okay.
Oh. I don't know that Clocky. I don't know that people can see Clocky.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Pardon me, dog.
Is this the Chattanooga Choo-Choo?
Beep, beep.
Moments from now. Good morning, Jabara. Good morning, John. Annie's preparing your Tarot. You get the freshest Tarot. Fresh off the dock. Occurs to me that it might be hard to do Tarot with all that racket going on. So I'll give it a miss. Neo's getting comfortable. Shall we?
Let us.
Okay. We are drinking.
Excuse me.
ticket of the talking over here. Hi, this is now Bridge to a Better World. I'm Theresa Mitchell. This is Ani Haynes. It's almost Ani Haynes.
It's absolutely out of
She's still loading.
Oh, Lord.
Glad to see you here. And have some things to talk about. I'm calling this Prolegomenon to any future, just to be flip. And
Which left me absolutely in the dark, and she'll explain it to me after the show sometime. I'm like, I'm just typing the thing. I don't know.
Just a con reference. Well, the Russians and the Israelis have kind of gone genocidal. Russia with the missile attacks into the whole power structure, into Kyiv, into everything that seems to be standing, and Israel with a disgusting Kahanist government. After all their crimes in their war of extinction versus what's left of Israeli, Christian, and Muslim Palestinians, they still get free U.S. tax money by the billions, as Biden publicly kisses their butts. And the Russians, they're acting like Americans in Baghdad. Good thing I live in the USA where, I'm just going to drop that thread. House January 6th committee member Jamie Raskin has cancer. And, like he doesn't have enough problems. He says Trump should do time. Trump says he has cartoon pictures to sell. According to Jessica Washington in The Root, Black cities in the USA are facing a disproportionate flood of water crises. She points out that Jackson, Mississippi has almost become synonymous with the words water and crisis. Once again, thousands of residents are without water after freezing temperatures likely caused pipes to burst throughout the city's aging infrastructure. Washington also writes that Jackson, which is 82% Black, has had 600 boil water notices over 2 years, almost every other day. In Flint, she says, quote, it was revealed that roughly 9,000 children were exposed to lead-contaminated drinking water. Thousands of other residents were exposed to lead and water-based pathogens, leading to the deaths of several residents. In Denmark, South Carolina, for more than a decade, the city was pumping a non-EPA-approved chemical halocyan, whatever that is, into the city's drinking water. The problems in all three cities are fairly different, but they share at least one thing in common. They're all happening in predominantly Black and low-income communities, end quote, which brings me to reparations, the dead weight, by which I mean the corporate news media's refusal to discuss reparations is a very effective way of keeping the producing class divided so that the parasite class can rule us all. I can't emphasize enough BIPOC reparations now. We've got to keep it in the media. We've got to keep it on our lips. Reparations now. Jessica Corbett in Common Dreams, speaking of racism, global concerns about the new Israeli government, especially what it means for Palestinians, continued to grow Thursday as Benjamin Netanyahu took oath of office to again serve as prime minister, this time leading the most far-right and religiously conservative coalition in the country's history. The embattled leader was sworn in following a 63-54 vote of confidence in his new government by the Knesset, Israel's parliament. He has appointed 30 ministers and 3 deputy ministers from his Likud party, as well as Noam Otzma Yehudit, Religious Zionism, Shas, and United Torah Judaism. The coalition finalized Wednesday features a mix, this is a quote, of ultra-Orthodox and right-wing bloc, according to Al Jazeera, with some of the most right-wing politicians we've seen. They were on the fringes of politics, they write, and now here they are on the main stage, end quote. From Palestine News, Israeli settlers fenced off Palestine pastures east of the village of Al Farsiya in northern Jordan Valley, according to local sources, who said that settlers fenced off land of undetermined size located near the illegal settlement of Shadmat Mehola in preparation for seizing it. Over the years, Israeli settlers have seized thousands of pastures and farming lands in several areas in the northern Jordan Valley and set up outposts on top of mountains in the area. Since the beginning of 2022, Al Farsiya area has been subjected to several violations by Israeli settlers against Palestinians and their properties, in addition to the soldiers seizing tractors and pursuing farmers working on their lands. And I want to frame that in the fact that I love Jews, and I'm horrified by this on that basis and in that frame. David Sirota and Andrew Perez write in Jacobin, Southwest Airlines stranding thousands of Americans during the holiday season is not some unexpected crisis, nor the normal consequence of inclement weather, and federal officials are not powerless bystanders. Before the debacle, attorneys general from both parties were sounding alarms about regulators' lax oversight of the airline industry, imploring them and congressional lawmakers to crack down. The warnings came just before Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg appeared on national television insisting travel would improve by the holidays, and before Southwest executives, flush with cash from a government bailout, announced the new new dividend payouts to shareholders while paying themselves millions of dollars. So who says failure doesn't pay? 4 months before Southwest mass cancellation of flights, 38 state attorneys general wrote to congressional leaders declaring that Buttigieg agency failed, quote, failed to respond and to provide appropriate recourse to thousands of consumer complaints about the airline's customer service. 1 week before the Southwest scheduling disaster, 34 attorneys general led by Colorado Democrat Phil Weiser sent another letter begging Buttigieg to impose significant fines for cancellations and extended delays that are not weather-related or otherwise unavoidable, because what could go wrong? By the way, if you're looking at Jackman, please read Matt Taibbi's reporting. Well, actually, it's not Matt Taibbi's reporting. It's their reporting
good.
on Matt Taibbi because Matt's starting to smell musky. But they point out that he has an excellent point in exposing the extensive FBI, CIA, and other government agency collaborations and espionage conducted through Twitter. This is something that's ongoing, so you want to know about it. So go read the article called "Why the Twitter Files Are in Fact a Big Deal." And finally, an article titled "Insurance for a Changing Climate" by Sarah Free. Are you asleep, Dougie? I don't feel bad.
You keep talking. I'll maybe look at the dog. We have a ancient dog who occasionally gets a little cough, and then we all worry about him for a minute. It's one of those moments.
Little guy. All right.
And by little guy, she means, 75 down Labrador Great Dane.
Yeah.
Down from his peak of 95 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep talking. I'm gonna pet the dog. Hey, Neil.
Well, among the many facets of the economy being challenged and changed by warming global temperatures is the insurance industry. Damaging extreme events such as wildfires, hurricanes, and floods are happening with greater frequency and intensity, leaving insurance companies facing larger financial risks and paying out more in claims, and it also leaves policy holders paying higher prices to insure their homes and businesses. As risks and premiums climb, she writes, insurance may become too expensive for some people to afford, and certain properties may be at such high risk of damage or destruction that insurance companies become unwilling to insure them at all. At the same time, more people are living in harm's way, with about 40% of the U.S. population now residing in a coastal county. There's a lot of people in property, a quote, that we don't have to worry about here. And that's according to Umar Irfan, who moderated a recent Climate Conversations webinar. And he's quoted saying, that brings up the looming question, how do we pay for damages that do occur and distribute the risks? It's a huge concern for the industry, insurance industry in particular. And it's already forcing a reckoning in the U.S. and around the world. Pardon me. I just want to hedge that, saying it's pretty funny that they say we. There's no we. They're talking about the elites may be out of pocket on this. Not to the point that they cease being the elites, I'm sure. So I'm not going to be weeping any tears for them. And then there's COVID. South Korea, according to the South China Morning Post, South Korea said on Friday it will impose mandatory COVID-19 tests on travelers from China joining the United States, Japan, and other countries in taking new border measures after Beijing's decision to lift stringent zero COVID policies. South Korea would also restrict issuing short-term visas for Chinese nationals until the end of next month. And they will temporarily halt increasing flights from China while using Incheon International as the only gateway for any China flights, according to the Prime Minister. Effective January 5th, travelers from China would be required to submit a negative result from a PCR test, no more than 48 hours, or a rapid antigen test taken within 24 hours before departure. I bring that up because it seems to me to be too little too late. And the question is, and I've seen things both ways. The question is the rapid spread of COVID in China introducing any new mutations? Kaiser data, cited in the Springfield News Sun, is quoted saying, one reason vaccinated individuals are now making up more of the COVID-19 related deaths in the USA is because they now make up the majority of the population, 79%. Additionally, they say no vaccine is 100% effective, and the immunity the primary vaccination series provided at the beginning of their availability in the spring of 2021 has decreased due to new variants in circulation. For some, the last time they got a COVID shot was over a year ago. Updated booster shots became widely available in September, and uptake on those vaccinations has been slow nationally and statewide. Thomas says research has shown one of the main reasons behind the slow utilization is related to a lower perception of risk.
I'm not sure that makes sense, but I'll look at that very slowly later.
Yes.
Just though the can I look at your notes for a second? I'm sorry.
We'll pause while Ani looks at my notes.
It's like, this is one reason the vaccinated individuals are now making up more COVID-19 related deaths is because they now make up the majority of the population. I mean, I get that no vaccine is 100% effective, but that seems a little like a dodge.
No,
and I
that
am
makes-
pro-vaccine.
That makes perfect sense. to me.
Okay, then I'm just gonna
Just
drink my tea.
statistically, I mean, how could it be?
Well,
otherwise?
no, of course, statistically. Okay, sure, statistically. Yeah, but there's something that's going to be gnawing on me for a minute. Okay,
right.
I'm drinking my tea. Carry on.
That actually represents the end of my little produced. I didn't have a long opinion piece. I didn't have an opinion piece at all this week because I had so many news stories that I wanted to put out, and so I thought I'm just going to inject my little perspective as I did into the news, and that will be the service that I provide to the community, as well as selecting the news from some different sources and criticizing some of the mainstream sources. That's what I do. You know, when I started doing, excuse me, when I started doing news commentary more than 30 years ago.
Come into the screen.
Hello. It was such a different world. There was no internet. And there was a constriction of news availability because of the extreme predominance of a few networks, CBS, ABC, NBC, and there was increasingly cable news, but it was all coming from the same people. I mean, at one point
and there were sort of the beginnings of Fox.
Yeah, I'd be out of date if Turner News Network, I think, kind of fed into that. I'd be out of date if I mentioned the people who owned them then, but I used to call NBC Neutron Bomb Corporation because GE used to own it. I don't know who owns it now, but I know that it's all very monopolistic. There was that book, Ben Bagdickian's book, Media Monopoly, and we all read it and talked about it, and I talked about it on KBOO. Excuse me. So I would listen to the shortwave radio and get alternate news sources, and kind of made hay with that for years and years because I would have alternate news sources that were otherwise difficult to get. I mean, you had to string a wire outside your house and to pick up shortwave stations, and I did that. And I recorded them. And when the internet phenomenon first came about, there was initially a great efflorescence of information, and I think that there was a change in the population's attitude towards news generally, so that at some point I realized that I was going on the air and talking about things that people could easily pick up on the internet. And I realized that my function, my contribution to society could only be analysis and an attempt to point out which news sources I thought were interesting or valid, as opposed to saying, this is a news source that you can't get at all. That was no longer true.
Yeah, and I think, but also the thing is providing a bit of focus and connectivity between stories, right? Because when the internet age happened and suddenly there was a plethora of news sources, global, independent, and corporate, and this and that.
I think whatever's making the dog cough is getting me. Excuse me, go ahead.
Sorry. All of these, different sources also meant that suddenly we could get information overload. And to have access to 1,000 stories does not give us time to actually dig into and analyze 1,000 stories. And so I think part of the service that you provide, and hopefully we provide in this live stream, and what we did in our radio work, was to sort of dig down into which stories are connected, which stories are sort of at the foundation of the societal ills, instead of going for the 1,000 different stories as if they were unrelated. And that's, I think that's helpful.
Yeah. If I had done a rant, I couldn't really focus my mind well enough to do it. this week, it would have been on nuclear industry because I'm tired of them trying to appear green. They are owned by the fossil fuel industry. And to a great extent, they are the fossil fuel industry because it takes a tremendous amount of fossil fuels to dig out uranium and to refine it and re-refine it and re-refine it. And then to take care of the thousands of years of waste that it produces. So they're not green, far from it.
Very, very far from it. Oh my goodness. If you are watching this right now, and I dare say you are, or you wouldn't hear that, please do hit the like button on this video. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do that. And, hit that notification bell so you'll know when we do this. Every Friday morning at 9 is our goal. And we always threaten to do it perhaps at other times as well, though I think we've only maybe had a surprise live stream once after some election or riot or something. I don't know. I can't quite remember the
Really takes some
circumstances.
steam.
But it would be delightful to have you with us whenever we do go live. So do please hit that notification bell button thing. Also, as I transition into the witch year, tarot year part of the program, if you are interested in private reading or consultation or witchy teachings, or talking to me about witchy stuff in general, you'll find a link to my website. You can contact me through the website in the contact form. You'll find the link to my website in the description box for this show. So please do check that out. Or as I believe I've seen it on every other YouTube video, you'll find the link below. All right. I've been watching too much YouTube lately. That said, we have come to the end of the Gregorian calendar for 2022. And what does that mean? I don't have a lot of stock in Gregor. I don't really do popes, even the ones that make calendars and such. Didn't really do Roman emperors either. So, Julius, Gregor, they come up with these calendars. And they are, Gregor's is certainly more accurate, the most accurate we've had, right? That's why we've stuck with them. Even so, it leaves a bit to be desired. You got that leap day thing every 4 years, you get an extra day. Woo! Things, it's a little wonky. And so I don't necessarily put a lot of stock in the flipping of the calendar page and going from 2022 to 2023. My new year really starts on the winter solstice, as the sun is reborn and the days begin to lengthen. The earth, as Theresa likes to point out, does its tilty, wobbly thing. What do you call that? The wobble?
It processes on its axis tilt.
She had a
Something like that.
She had a really cute phrase last week. Anyway, so it wobbles just right. Let's just say, and then we get the seasonal change, and the year begins. The cycle begins anew for me. Other spiritual practices note other days as the first of the year, as the beginning of newness. But that all said, here we are living in a society and a culture where so many people are fixated on January 1st as being the beginning of the new, and December 31st as being the end of the old. And I think whenever we have, really billions of people focused on this calendar flip, it adds a lot of energy to that, right? And consciousness creates our reality. That I am fairly sure of in so many ways. And so take advantage. I have started taking advantage of this calendar flip as another time to process tying up the loose ends of the old and going forward into the new. And so I just wanted to start out with that. If you haven't really dug into a new year, with the solstice or with a different practice, then by all means, dive in this weekend. It is a cycle, a time of completions and beginnings. And indeed, as my shirt notes, as John notes, it's timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing. So I realize I have so much Doctor Who paraphernalia surrounding me right now.
Good morning to you,
I-
all Cascadia.
I have the 13th Doctor's like Sonic in front of me. I use it as a wand in some of my rituals. It's true. So, because I like combining pop culture and spirituality, right? If you can't have fun with spirit, what can you have fun with? That said, I've got this tarot reading, and the tarot reading looks a lot like this. And so, what does it say? It's the Knight of Wands, it's the Page of Cups, it's the Two of Swords. And what this all says, it's a little bit of a continuation of the last 2 weeks. There's still a focus on not squandering your energy. But this time we see there is a big decision that is sort of looming in front of us. Um, and it's time to really make that decision. It's time for some movement. The situation is calling to us to act, but we seem to be a bit stuck. And I think a lot of this is about letting go of the past, leaving things in the past that need to be left, but not just in a way that leaves loose ends. It's time to tie things up. It's time to find closure so that you can free up the energy to move on. The Knight of Wands is really talking about making sure that you have focused energy. It's really easy to be distracted, like the kitty in the card can be distracted by the cat dancer. And the kitty is playing with the ribbons, and the kitty is thinking the ribbons are just fantastic. And then the kitty loses interest and wanders off and doesn't really get closure, and may then go bat over the planter, knock over the box, and do 3 other things that aren't really okay. Sure, they're contributing to the kitty's happiness, but I think you get where I'm going. It's putting energy out in many directions without finishing something. So it's looking for closure. This card says to really make sure you are focusing and getting closure on things that need to be left in the past. And then we have the Page of Cups, right? Again, making sure that that our lessons are based in some level of maturity.
I didn't see that.
Upside inversed, this card talks about perhaps, yes, it's the kitty with his head in the toilet. It's true. Inversed, it's talking about maybe you've spent a little much time being frivolous, drinking out the toilet without so much responsibility for your own well-being. So it's a call to really sort of take care of yourself and to focus your attention in a way that is more mature, that is really looking at taking care of yourself and being responsible for your decisions. And so that's what I have going into this new year. It's really about tying up the past so that you can fully be open to the new, and you can make important decisions that need to be made, that are calling to you to be made, but without the baggage that has been holding you back. Letting go of things that have been weighing you down, in a way that is thoughtful, in a way that actually ties up the responsibilities you have, and doesn't just leave it dangling, which is a way of really draining energy. So wrapping up the old in a good way, tying it up, focusing your intention so you're not squandering energy. We just don't have that energy to squander. And then moving forward, making the decisions that are right there for you to make, and taking some of that initiative and action to move your own life, your intentions forward into this new year. That's what I have.
All right.
And so it is always just a pleasure to be with you in the mornings. Please do contact me if you are interested in witchy classes, tarot classes, consultations, or readings, private readings. I am available. And it's always a gift economy sliding scale sort of thing. So please do contact me if you want contact information through the website below. And for those that it's Ani Raven Haynes, you can just look me up, Ani Raven Haynes. I've got a website. It needs some help, but it's there. All right.
I
That's
like
what I
that.
have.
I mean, this is the time of year where I feel it before I notice it, that, the day's a little brighter, a little longer. I like that. It just feels good.
This is actually come Saturday, come the 31st, we will have four additional minutes of daylight than we had on the solstice, just on the 21st. So in 10 days, we've gained 4 minutes, and it does feel good to have the light returning.
It's enough time to clean your glasses or do push-ups or something.
I've never done a push-up in my life.
Don't know what you're missing.
Though I do clean my glasses occasionally. All right, my dear friends, it is so good to have this morning time with you. Please do enjoy yourself this weekend. Enjoy this flipping of the calendar page, and a prosperous, healthy, joyous New Year to everyone.
Fröhliches Jahr to you too.
Full of love and laughter.
Svasvi Novi Gold. And our love goes out to you and to all the ships at sea.
Please do hit the like button. Thanks.
Bye.
Oh, Drinky.
Drinky gives the benediction.
Cheerio.